Om Namah Shivaya Raviji.
Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya
Vande Guru Paramparam.
Om Sahana
Dana
Bhavatu
Bhavatu
Sahana
Sahanau
Bhunaktu Saha
Punaktu
Veeryam
Sahaviryam
Karvavahai
Hari
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
Vidvishavahai
Vidvishavahay.
Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Shanti.
So we were on Karika number 13, which chapter number 4, which we can just chant again. So please unmute yourself. Ajadvai jayate yasya
Ajat
Jayate
Ajat Yasya
दृष्टान्तस्tasya नास्ति वै
Drishtantas
Drishtantasya nasti
Tasyai
vai.
Nastipai
जाताच्च जायमानस्य
Jata
Jatachajayamanasya
jayamanasya.
न व्यवस्था प्रसज्यते.
Navyavastha
Navyavastha
Prasadyate.
prasadyate.
Okay, so we were looking at the various defects of the Sankhya philosophy, which were being given in these karikas from 11 onwards. So briefly, so far, we have looked at one defect, which was that Sankhya makes three statements. Karanam is equal to Karyam. Then it says Karanam is Prakriti and Prakriti is Nityam. And it says Karyam is Prapancha and Prapancha is Anityam. So what was the defect? When you say Karanam is equal to Karyam, then either both have to be Nityam or both have to be Anityam. So that particular stand of the Sankhyas does not hold good, that we saw. Then the second defect was Sankhya could say that part of the Karanam is Nityam and that another part which is Anityam, that is the part which gets converted into the universe, into the Jagat. And that also we said was not possible because if Karanam has parts, anything which has parts cannot be eternal. So that Karanam with parts also cannot be eternal. And the third defect we saw was in this particular Karika number 13, where Sankhya says that Prakriti is eternal and this is known through Anumanam, inference. But we said that inference requires perception, Pratyaksha as the basis. And all the Pratyaksha events which we know, none of them ever indicate that any cause is eternal. None of them ever indicate that any Karanam is Nityam. Therefore, that also has to be rejected. Okay, these are three things we saw so far. Then there is another defect. This is the defect of infinite regression. And in Sanskrit, they call it anavastha doshaha, infinite regression. So, how does this come about? To avoid the third defect, that Prakriti cannot be a causeless cause, Sankhya has to accept that Prakriti itself is a Karyam. Then he can say, okay, Prakriti itself is a Karyam. So therefore, it is possible that it can it can change into the Jagat. Now, this is a suppositional argument. Supposing he accepts that the universe is born from Prakriti for the sake of discussion, right? And this Prakriti itself is a product, is a Karyam, and therefore it has a beginning. Can you see the argument? If you say that Prakriti itself is a Karyam, a product, what is the question? What is the Karanam for this Prakriti? Right? The Sankhya can say that there is something called Moola Prakriti, the main Prakriti, and that will be the cause of this karma. Then you will say, okay, what is the cause of the Mula Prakriti? Because whatever is Karanam is itself Karyam of another Karanam. Whatever is the cause now is going to be the product of another cause. This we have seen because of the inference issue, inference problem. What will this lead to? Whatever you say, whatever Sankhya says is the cause for the Prakriti, we will have to look for another cause for that particular cause. And since all the causes are karyams, all the causes are products, every cause which is a product also has itself another cause. And therefore, this chain will never end. You can keep on asking what is the cause of the particular karan. This is called infinite regress. It never stops. The regression never stops. Anavastha doshaha. And that is what is said in this particular karika. He says, Jatacha jayamanasya na vyavastha prasajyate. If the world is born out of Prakriti, jayamanasya, which itself is born out of some other cause, then na vyavastha prasajyate, there is anavastha doshaha. There will be the problem, infinite regression. You can never come to the final karanam of the universe. Right? What is the purpose of saying this? Gaudapada says that is correct. You can never logically establish a final cause. And since you cannot logically establish a final cause, how can you ever talk about a product? Because if you cannot establish that a product is there, where is the right to use the word creation? Because the word creation, when the moment you say karyam, creation, it presupposes a particular karana karya connection, a karana karya sambandha. And therefore, the only answer is that there is no creation at all. And that is exactly what Gaudapada is saying. Ajativadaha, creation is not really there at all. And therefore, to summarize this, whatever status you give to Prakriti and Prapancha, to the Karanam and the Karyam, there are three possibilities. Prakriti and Prapancha, both are Nityam. Or number two, both are Anityam. Or number three, Prakriti is Nityam and Prapancha is Anityam. These are the three possibilities. Let us look at the first possibility. We say Prakriti and Prapancha, the Karanam and the Karyam are both Nityam. What is the problem there? There will be no Karya Karana Sambandha. Why? You are saying Prakriti is Nityam and Prapancha is Nityam. So we are saying that is not possible. Because if that is so, where is the Karya Karana Sambandha? Why do you say that?
One has to be derived from the other. The karyam has to be derived from the karanam. So both
No,
cannot.
we are saying both are Nityam. Both are never born. And therefore, where is the question of cause and effect? Because if both are eternal, both have always been there. Nothing has given rise or given birth to anything. And therefore, Prakriti cannot be the Karana. Okay, now this is not mentioned in the Karika, but this is the one of the arguments. What is the second case? If both are Anityam. So that is what those are the words. Jatacha jayamanasya. If both are Anityam, what are we saying? A temporary Anitya Prapancha is born out of Anitya Prakriti. And if that is so, this Anitya Prakriti has also been taken as a Karyam, and therefore you have to look for its Karanam. And when you look for its Karanam, you will find there is some other Karanam which is also Anityam. And therefore you have to look for the Karanam of that one. And therefore you will keep on looking for the Karanam of the previous Karyam, which is a Karanam. And therefore there will be infinite regression. You will never be able to ascertain the primary uncaused cause. This is called the anavastha dosha, infinite regression problem. Okay, what is the third case? Sankhya says Prakriti is Nitya. So it is never born. And from this Nitya Prakriti, the Anitya Prapancha is born. This is Sankhya's third argument. Therefore, Karanam is Nityam and Karyam is Anitya. What is the advantage of this? Because when you say Prakriti is Nityam, then you are not having to look for a Karanam from Prakriti, and therefore you are avoiding this regression problem, infinite regression problem you are arising. Okay, what do we say? How do you arrive at the fact that Prakriti is Nityam and unborn? What is the pramana? That is the question we ask. Because this is the third case. Third case, to avoid this problem of anavastha dosha, Sankhya is saying that fine, Prakriti is Nityam, but part of the what is born from Prakriti, the Prapancha, the universe, that is Anityam. And therefore, you say, you don't attack the Anityam Prapancha part, we don't touch. We say, tell us, how do you say that Prakriti is Nityam? What is the Pramanam? Pratyaksha cannot be the Pramanam. Why? Because any Pratyaksha will tell you that a cause is always having a further cause, right? Like I am the cause of my children, but I am also the product of my parents, and my parents are the product of their grandparents, and so on. Pratyaksha tells you that anything you look for in this world, there is never a thing called a primary cause which is eternal. So, Pratyaksha Pramanam cannot tell you that Prakriti is eternal and Nityam. Shastra Pramanam cannot be quoted. Why? Because Shastra does not say that Prakriti is Karanam. Only Sankhya says. Shastra says Brahman is Karanam. Therefore, there is no Pratyaksha Pramanam. There is no Shruti Pramanam also. What remains? Anumana Pramanam remains. Logic. Now, Pratyaksha shows itself that all products have a Karanam. And if you extend this logic, you have to admit that the Prapancha also has to have a Karanam. And this Karanam is named Prakriti. And that, by the same logic, that Prakriti is also going to be a product. It must also have a Karanam. Therefore, Anumana Pramanam cannot be applied. Why? Because Anumanam is based on a generalization, a Vyapti, right? That Vyapti comes from where? From Pratyaksha Pramanam only. So Sankhya should have said that every Karyam, a product, is Nityam, Anityam. But we also find that every cause is also Anityam. Therefore, what is the correct Vyapti? Yatra yatra Anitya Karyam, tatra tatra Anitya Karanam. Wherever there is a temporary product, you will find that there is a temporary cause also. Why? Because that cause is also the product of some other cause. And based on this generalization, what is the inference about Prakriti as a Karanam? It has to be that Prakriti is also Anityam. Prapancha is Anityam, therefore Prakriti is also Anityam. And Anandagiri in his notes to the Bhashyam says that in the absence of any perceptual example which can be quoted, there is no ground to extract the idea that Anitya Karanam, Anitya or Anitya product can come from Nitya Karanam or vice versa. And therefore, Prakriti has to be Anitya. This is the fourth defect which is pointed out. Okay. So I said before that these are all very abstract, even the wordings are very abstract, and therefore we need to be very, very careful about how we come to class. You have to revise the last few classes, then only will you be able to understand properly. Okay, let us look at Karika number 14. We will chant. So please unmute yourselves. हेतोरादिफलं येषाम्
हेतुरफलम्
हेतुरादिफलं ताम्
आदिर्हेतुः फलस्य च
आदिर्हेतुः
आदिर्हेतुफलस्य च
हेतोः फलस्य चानादि
हेतुफलस्य च आदि
हेतोपना
कथं तैरुपवर्ण्यते
कथं
कयन्
तैरुपवर्ण्यते.
तैरुप्यवर्ण्यते. Okay, so now onwards, Sankhya has been taken care of in the last three Karikas. Now Gaudapada takes up Dvaita philosophy, right? Again, this refutation of Dvaita is from Karika 14 to Karika 23, right? In this 9-10 Karikas. And as you will observe, when we actually read the Karikas, the language is very, very, complex. So let me first give you the gist. It's not a very, comfortable way of Sanskrit being used. It's very, very complex. And therefore, I'll first give you the gist. Dvaita philosophers take support from Veda as primary source, right? And use logic as secondary support. This is a difference from Sankhya philosophers. Sankhya Darshana, remember, primarily is Tarkika. For them, logic is the primary pramanam, and they use Vedas as secondary support. So this difference we must remember. Dvaita philosophers are similar to us because they take Veda as the primary support. And all the philosophers, all darshanas, for the purpose of pointing out that there is a creation, all the people resort to the law of karma as the base. We are all familiar with that law. And karma includes both punyam and papa karma. It includes sanchita, agami, and prarabdha. Right? So punya karma, papa karma, and each of them is divided is falls under three divisions: sanchita punyam, sanchita punyam, sanchita agami, sanchita prarabdha, as well as sanchita papa, agami papa, and prarabdha papa. Right? Because of this division alone, all the living beings come into being to experience the consequences of their papunya karma. Now, as I said, the language here is slightly complex. So, in these verses, the in these karikas, the word hetu here, heturadi phalam, the word hetu means karma, and phalam means shariram, body. You can understand, hetu means cause, and if the cause of the body is what? Karma. Therefore, karma is the hetu and body is the fruit. So, with that logic, you will find that karma is represented by the word hetu, and the word shariram or body is represented by the word phalam. So, what is the primary idea of these dualistic darshanas? They say karma is the cause for the jagat. Right? Primary cause for jagat. Now, when you want to analyze this concept, you should know what is a abhyupetyavada. Abhyupetyavada means a suppositional statement, an argument which is based on a supposition. What is a supposition? The supposition is karma is the moola karanam, the primary cause for this prapancha, for this jagat. That is the supposition. You are accepting the fact. For the purpose of the argument, you are accepting the fact that karma is the karanam for this universe. Then, first question is what? I say karma is the cause for the universe. What should be the first question?
How did karma come into being?
How did karma come into being? Where does this punya papa karma come from? And you cannot answer this because punya papa karma requires a karta. But karta is part of pancha. That prapancha which is the product of punya papa karma. Then can you say that Ishvara is the karanam for punya papa karma? You cannot. Right? Because on what basis does Ishvara generate the punya papa karma? Therefore, what will happen? You have to say that there is punya papa karma is generated by karta, and that karta has been born because of previous punya papa karma. It becomes infinite regression again. When you say this infinite regression, I am pointing this out because there is anavastha dosha, infinite regression in this argument. You cannot take karma as the primary karanam for jagat. Primary karanam means what? Uncaused karanam. Right? That is the idea. So there are only two things. One is karma and one is the body. Body being taken for jagat. Okay. So because of this infinite regression problem, you cannot say that karma is the eternal cause, uncaused karanam for jagat. So that idea has to be dropped. What is the only other possibility? That the body, shariram, which produces the karma, is the mula karanam. Now, then you have to say that Bhagavan gives bodies to all the jivas. Right? Because the moment you say body is the cause of karma, then the question is, how does the body come? Because you cannot use the word karma, since karma is going to come after the body is born. And therefore you have to say, okay, fine, Bhagavan gives bodies, Ishvara gives bodies to all the jivas. And with the help of these bodies, they perform karma. Then the question is, if Ishvara has to give bodies to all the jivas, what type of bodies will he give? The very type of the body has to be determined by karma alone. Because to give the first body, Ishvara should have some basis. You cannot say that he gives bodies at random. Because if you say that the first body is given at random, then in the first set of bodies given at random, you will find that some bodies are good bodies and some bodies are bad bodies. And therefore, that leaves Ishvara open to the charge of being partial. So that idea cannot be entertained. Therefore, body also cannot be the eternal uncaused cause. Therefore, out of the two things, karma and shariram, both cannot be the uncaused eternal cause of the other. What is the third possibility? That karma and shariram are mutually cause and effect, which means karma is the cause of body and body is the cause of karma. And if you say that, it is logically not correct. Why is it logically not correct? Two things. The statement that two entities have a mutual is the important word. Mutual cause and effect relationship can never be correct. Why so? All Mananam questions. Okay, let me give you an easier example. Same thing, but easier example. When you say two things, let one thing be a father and let other thing be a son. Then you are saying that they are mutually cause and effect means out of the father the son has been born, and out of the son the father has been born. Now you can say logically incorrect, but why is it logically incorrect?
Cause has to precede.
Because
Sorry?
it is not the same cause and effect. Like that effect will give rise to another cause and cause to another effect.
I
Not
know, but
mutual.
why is it not mutual? Why is it incorrect to say that? It is incorrect to say that because when you say that A is the cause of B, which is earlier in time?
A.
A. And then therefore you cannot say that B is the cause of A. Because if A is earlier in time, then B is not earlier in time. And that is the logical defect. Therefore, this theory is also not correct. Okay, remember all these are wonderful for straightening out our thinking processes. How to think properly. Okay, what is the fourth possibility? We saw that one possibility is karma is mula karanam. He said no. We saw another possibility, shariram is mula karanam. We said no. The third possibility, karma and shariram are mutually karanam and karyam. That also failed the test of logic. There is a fourth possibility. Karma and shariram are simultaneous karyam, products. Here also, it is illogical because the same argument we used earlier. Cause should be earlier in time than product. And therefore, if karma and shariram are simultaneous products, that by the same logic, we'll say this is also a illogical statement. Okay, these are four. Then there is a fifth one. Let us assume, which we are familiar with actually. Let us assume that we'll number them. Karma number one produces shariram, body number one. Right? Body number one produces karma number two. Karma number two produces body number three. Body number three produces karma number four, and so on. Right? This is in the form of a cause-effect chain, a cycle, which means previous karma has produced this body, and this body will produce a set of karmas, and this fresh set of karmas will produce a new body. Right? Then you can ask only one question. When this is a chain, does the chain begin with a karma or begin with a body? When we talk about the seed and the tree chain cycle, which is the first, the seed or the tree? And the same logical problem holds good. We cannot say that karma is the beginning because body is required for karma. We cannot say body is the beginning because karma is required for the body. Therefore, body cannot be the beginning of the chain. Karma also cannot be the beginning of the chain. Then there's a sixth possibility, which is a modification of the fifth possibility. That by now you should be able to make out. What is the sixth possibility? The sixth possibility is that we say it is a chain of karma body, karma, but the chain is anadi. This is what we normally accept for a beginning class, right? The moment you say the chain is anadi, then there is no question of asking which is the first body or which is the first karma. We will say whichever body you point out to, there will be an earlier karma. Whichever karma you point out to, there will be an earlier body. So this is the Anadi Karma Shariram chain, and you're all aware that this is what is the provisional theory presented to students at the beginning of our study of Vedanta. Why do we say provisional? Why do we
Because
say
final is that there is no cause and effect.
finally you are
There is
saying there is no creation
Prajapati.
at all? Where is the cause of? Where is the cause? Where is the effect? Right. But because you are presenting this provisional theory in the beginning to students, all of us who will later become teachers, we should know what are the fallacies. Okay. So there are three ideas in this body karma chain, right? Three words rather. What are they? Karma, body, and pravaha. Pravaha means flow or the chain. So karma, shariram, pravaha. This is the idea presented. Now, you are saying anadi, right? You have added an adjective anadi. As a mananam, we should ask karma, shariram, pravaha, anadi. This is the whole set of four words. There is one adjective here, that is anadi, beginningless. Ask the question, this adjective anadi, does it qualify the word karma? Does it qualify the word shariram? Or does it qualify the word pravaha, flow? Which one is the beginningless? Is it beginningless karma? Or is it beginningless shariram? Or is it beginningless chain, pravaha? What is the answer? You cannot say beginningless karma. Why? Because every karma needs a previous body, and therefore, logically, you cannot say that karma can be beginningless. That is the first defect, first hole you can poke into this theory. The second one is the word anadi cannot be referring to body also, because every body presupposes a previous karma. Therefore, body also you cannot say is beginningless. Can it be used to qualify the word pravaha? The Gaudapada says, how can you do that? Because pravaha is only an idea referring to a flow of karma and shariram, right? Just as when we say parampara, we are talking about guru and sishya. And separated from the individual guru and gurus and the individual sishyas, there is no entity called parampara, right? Or a family for that matter. A family is a mental construct, a concept. There is no such entity called family other than the individual members. There is no entity called society other than individual members. Therefore, when this karma and shariram are not beginningless, where is the question of having a beginningless chain? So, all the three are defective. That is why we say it's produced for a, it is presented as a provisional argument to be finally negated by saying there is really no creation at all. Okay, then we can have another argument which is a supposition. Supposing we accept the existence of a anadi karma shariram pravaha, beginningless chain of karma and shariram. The question is, does this beginningless chain have an end or not? Right? You can see where that question is going. If you say yes, or you say no, the beginningless change does not have an end. What is the defect? It's a very important question. Assume that for the sake of argument, we accept that there is a beginningless karma shariram chain, body, pravaha. Does this anadi pravaha, beginningless chain, have an end or not? Very interesting question. If you say it does not have an end, what is the problem?
Concept
It's
of
not a
moksha doesn't exist.
Concept of moksha doesn't exist at all. Right? Anirmoksha prasangaha, it is called. It becomes, the possibility of moksha becomes remote, impossible. On the other hand, if you say yes, this anadi pravaha has an end, then what is the problem? Moksha will begin from the time the chain ends. And if moksha begins at a particular time, it is not anadi moksha. Right? It is a moksha which has got a beginning. And we do know that whatever has a beginning has to have an end. And therefore, this moksha is temporary. Either way, all these theories, all these six theories have to be rejected. What is the only answer? There is no logical explanation for creation. And that is why Gaudapada says this is the only theory that you can put forward, Ajativadaha. There is only Brahman. There is no creation at all. Okay. Now, in that case, you can always ask, in that case, we accept that there is no creation at all. How does then Shruti talk about creation in Bhagavad Gita, in Taittiriya Upanishad, in Mundaka Upanishad, in Kaivalya Upanishad? Everywhere we have seen creation, right? We have done all these Upanishads and the Gita. We have seen everywhere that the concept of creation is put forward. How is it then that Shruti talks about it? So the answer is pretty obvious. It is an introductory concept. When a child is born, the child first has mother's milk, then slowly moves on to liquid food, semi-solid food, and then only solid food. So this is the concept of adhyaropaha, mithya jati vada, the concept of creation as a superimposition. And sooner or later, when the student is mature enough, we have to follow it up by apavada, which is ajativada. Apavada means negation. That negation takes place through ajativada, which is being presented in this book. This was the gist. Okay, now let us look at Karika number 14. As we go through the Karikas, you will be able to connect to what all I have said earlier. So, yesham, some people say or believe, phalam adihi hetoho, that the product originates from the cause. And hetoho adihi phalasya, and that the cause originates from the product. So there are some people say that the cause is the origin of the product, and other people say that that product is also the cause of some other product. Right. So he says, phalasya katham anadihi hetoho cha phalasya. How can the beginninglessness of the cause and the effect upavarnyate be accepted at all? So some people say that product, from the product, the karanam is born. And some people say that from the karanam, the product is born. How can you accept that both the product as well as the karanam are both anadi? So as I said before, hetoho, the contextual meaning here is karma. And here it is, because creation is involved, it is not individual karma, it is samashti karma, universal set of karmas. Phalam is the product of that karma. Adi is the karanam. Therefore, the contextual meanings we have to remember very carefully. Therefore, hetoradi phalam, punya karma is the cause of the body. And as we saw, neither karma nor shariram can be said to be beginningless cause. Why? Because both are born out of each other. So now we will look at the next Karika, which we have already covered. I have covered my general remarks in the gist I have already given. So here we'll just look at the words only. Look at Karika number 15. We will chant. हेतोरादि फलम येषाम्
हेतोरादि
हेतोरादिफलं येषाम्
आदिर्हेतु फलस्य च
आदिर्हेता
आदिर्फलस्य च
तथा जन्म भवेत्तेषाम्
जन्म
तथा
भवे
जन्म भवेत् तेषाम्
पुत्रा जन्म पितुर्यथा
पुत्रा
पुत्रा
जन्म
जन्म पितुर्यथा.
So again you have to look at very complicated words. So I'll give a brief explanation. Here Gaudapada is talking about whether karma and shariram can be mutually cause and effect. That is, karma produces the shariram and shariram produces the cause. And Gaudapada says here, using those particular words, it is like saying that father procreates the son and the son procreates the father, which is not possible because the karanam is always earlier in time and the product is always later in time. So he says, Tatra putrat pituhu janma bhavet. So he says, if you are saying that karanam and karma and shariram can be mutually cause and effect, it is like saying that from the father the son is created and from the son the father is created. Therefore, this option is not logical. Therefore, we have to rule it out. Then, Karika number 16. I can give you the word meanings so that you don't get confused. So, Yesham, some people, phalam adihi, they say that the product is the origin of hetoho, of the cause. And they also say hetuhu adi phalasya. They also say that the cause is the origin of the product, which means they are saying that the product is born from the cause and the cause is born from the product. And he says tesham, for these people, janma bhavet tatha yatha janma pituhu putrat. For these people, it is exactly like saying that the father is born from the son and the son is born from the father. Okay, the exact meanings of those words. Again, very loosely put. Karika number 16, we will chant. Sambhave hetu phalayoho
सम्भवे हेतुफलयोः
एषितव्यक्रमस्त्वया
यशितं
एषितव्यः क्रमस्त्वया
एषितव्यक्रमस्त्वया
एषितव्यः क्रमस्त्वया
युगपत्
त्वया
सम्भवे यस्मात्
युगपत्
युगपत्सम्भवे यस्मात्
असम्बन्धो विषाणवत्
असम्बन्धो विषाद
असम्भतो विषाणवत्.
So first let me give the meanings. Sambhave, if it is possible, hetu phalayoho, that the cause and the effect, this idea of cause being the effect and effect being the cause is accepted, then eshitavya kramaha, then the sequence has to be found out tvaya, by you. Yasmat, because sambhave yugapat. Yugapat means simultaneous. Sambhave yugapat. If you say that the birth is simultaneous, asambandhaha, there will be no relationship of cause and effect between the two things. Right? Simultaneous births do not have one in earlier in time. Therefore, he says there can be no cause at all. And there will be no sambandha at all. Vishanavat. Vishanavat means the two horns of a cow. Just as there is no connection between the two horns of a cow, there is no cause-effect relationship between the two horns of a cow. Similarly, the cause and the effect, if they are born simultaneously, you cannot say that there is the, the relationship of cause and effect. Right? So look at the words. Yugapat sambhave yasmat. If the origination of the body and karma is accepted as simultaneous birth, simultaneous origination, asambandha, they will never have a cause-effect relationship because they are simultaneous. And Vishanavat means like the two horns of an animal or a cow. Why? Because in an animal, both the horns grow simultaneously. You cannot say that one horn is the cause of the other horn. And therefore, sambhave hetu phalayoho eshitavya kramastvaya. If they are not simultaneously born, then their order has to be determined. So tell me, which came first? Did the seed come first? Or did the tree come first? Did the egg come first? Or did the hen come first? That question cannot be answered, which means that the Mula Karanam can never be known. That is the whole idea. Since the Mula Karanam can never be known, how can you say there is a Karyam at all? Ganapada is hammering into our heads that the very idea that a creation is born is based on lots of logical misconceptions. Furthermore, Shruti also doesn't say that, ultimately. Okay, now Karika number 17. We will chant. Falad utpadhyamanah san
फलादुत्पाद्यमानः
फलात्पद्मानस्तन्
nate hetuh prasidhyati.
न ते
न ते
हेतु
हेतुः प्रसिद्ध्यति
Katham hetuh
अप्रसिद्धः
प्रसिद्धः
कथं हेतुः
phalam utpadyashyati.
फलमुत्पा
फलमुत्पादयिष्यति
So, utpadyamana san, being born, phalat, out of the product, te hetuhu, your cause, your karanam, na prasidhyati, is not established, first established. Katham, how? Hetu aprasiddha, a karanam which is not yet established, utpadyashyati, produce phalam, another product of its own. So he's saying that since the product is born out of the cause, at any point of time, you cannot say the cause is there, right? And therefore, how can a cause which is not there produce a product which is the world? So this is what is being said. Look at the exact words. Nate hetuhu prasidhyati. One cannot talk about a beginningless karma. So hetu we said was karma. Nate hetuhu prasidhyati. One cannot talk about a beginningless karma as the primary cause of creation, as the uncaused cause of creation, because phalat utpadhyamana san, because that beginningless hetu, that beginningless karma has to be produced by some phalam only, by some shariram only. Therefore, the moment you say karma, it presupposes the karta, which presupposes karmendriya, gyanendriya, etc., which presupposes body, right? Note that we should note here carefully that Ishvara and Jagat by themselves cannot produce karma or shariram. A jiva is required to produce the karma. Karma is required to produce the shariram. Therefore, he says, Hetuhu aprasiddhaha. a karma, karanam, which has not yet been established as being there, katham phalam utpadayashyati, how can that karma produce the world of jivas? A mutually dependent pair. We are showing that karma and shariram are mutually dependent. There is no way you can say they have a karya karana sambandha. Okay. We look at the next karika, the last one for today. Karika number 18. We'll chant. Yadi heto phalat siddhi
यदि
यदि
हेतुः
हेतुफलात् सिद्धिः
phala siddhascha hetu tat
फलसिद्धः
फलसिद्धिश्च हेतुतः
tatarat purva nishpannam
कतरत्पूर्वनिष्पन्नम्
yasya siddhirapekshaya.
यस्य
सिद्धिरपेक्षया
सिद्धिरपेक्षया
So, yadi hetu phalat siddhi and phala siddhischa hetu tata. Yadi hetuhu phalat siddhi. If that hetu, the karma, phalat siddhi is born from the phalam, the body. That is the first statement. Yadi hetuhu phalat siddhi. If that karma is born from the body, at the same time you are saying phala siddhischa hetu tata. You are saying that that phalam, that body is born out of karma, so which is in the form of a cause-effect chain, a pravaha. Shariram, karma, shariram, pravaha. Then the question is, katarat purva nishpannam, which one of this originated first? That is to say, if you are taking the chain as karma, shariram, then which is the first member of that chain? Is it karma or is it shariram? And therefore, yasya siddhi apekshaya. From the standpoint of the first one, only we can talk about the birth of the later one. Is it not? Yasya siddhir apekshaya. Yasya refers to which originated first. Katarat purva nishpannam. Was karma first or was body first? Why do we ask? Because yasya siddhir apekshaya. From the standpoint of karma only you can say body. From the standpoint of body only you can say karma. So which is the first one and which is the later one? That is a question which can never be answered. Therefore, the fifth theory is also not logical. So remember that in these karikas, the idea that the karma shariram pravaha, the karma shariram cycle is beginningless, anadi, that is not discussed. Gaudapada does not discuss the idea which we present, that the body and karma cycle is anadi. This is probably present as beginners lessons, right? He does not talk about it, but Shankara talks about it in his Bhashyam. And he says there is no question of any pravaha. There is no question of any chain at all. Why? Because chain is only a concept in your mind. And if this chain exists, let us assume this chain exists. And if you say the chain has no end, there will be no moksha. And if you say chain has an end, ends how? By doing sadhana. Then the time when the sadhana takes fruit and therefore the chain is ended, that will be the time when we get moksha. And therefore moksha has a beginning, and the moksha which begins in time will only be temporary. Okay. So this is what these karikas say. Now there can be a question here. Okay, all this is fine. How then do we say that moksha is attained being in brackets, through Guru Upadesham, and therefore we say Jnanat eva moksha. We don't we say, if knowledge gives moksha, will that moksha not have a beginning and consequently not have an end too? What is the answer? It's a very important question. Because you say moksha will give you, jnanam will give you moksha. Jnanam produces moksha. Does that not mean that moksha begins in time? And if it begins in time, obviously it will end in time. How can we say it is moksha? What is the answer to that? Anybody? We have discussed
Moksha is
several
Nityam
times.
only.
Moksha is Siddha Vastu, so Guru Upadesham only removes the misconceptions.
Right. Jnanam never produces moksha. You don't attain moksha through jnanam. The purpose of jnanam and Vedantic study is never to give moksha. It is only to reveal the fact that you are Nitya Mukta, that you are free, and you will ever be free. That is the purpose of all Vedantic study. Therefore, moksha is never produced. All the studies Vedantic study reveals to you is that you are free. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Okay. So with this, we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Acharya.
Once
Thank
again, I
you,
will
Acharya.
request you,
Thank you.
please go through the last 3 4 classes before the next class. Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.